Today, we're looking at a blue-black ink from Akkerman, Dutch Masters number 8. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now, there's timestamps down below so that if you're in a hurry, you can skip around. But if you got the time, I'd appreciate you checking out the entire video. You can also follow me over on Instagram, and if you're new here, I would invite you to subscribe. In order to make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples. I then put the ink into this Fountain Pen Revolution Himalaya with a flex nib to write with it for a day and take the notes for this video. I always standardize some of my writing samples by using Clairfontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper, although I do use more papers and some of those will be seen later in the video. Now, let's look at the writing sample. I picked this ink up in sample form, and to make sure I keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's take a look at the Clairfontaine. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is the same tone as the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade, 7 seconds to dry. The medium is the same tone as the extra fine and the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 12 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it, and we didn't get it. Tomoe River. No bleeding, normal Tomoe River ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is the same tone as the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade, 13 seconds to dry. The medium, same tone as the extra fine and the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, 31 seconds to dry. 13 and 31, they're flip, math nerd. The thing that gets me is, while the scrubbies both show no color variation, they both show sheen. But the sheen doesn't come through in the writing for me. I don't see it show up anywhere, or I would go ahead and point it out. Rhodia, no bleeding and no ghosting. The 1.1, no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. Extra fines, same tone as the 1.1, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 7 seconds to dry. This is a very boring, in a really good way, predictable ink. It's constantly the same. So I'm just trying to move a little faster through it. The medium, same tone as the extra fine and the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, 11 seconds to dry, scrubby for both, showing some color variation, both of them. But it didn't come through in the actual writing, so I don't know what that did for us. I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down and immediately put it in water for 10 to 15 seconds. And we see a very dark blue that pushes its way immediately up. It gathers up there, and then we see this very dark gray-ish color at the top. The one on the right, I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into water. The only difference we're really noticing between the two of them is there is a very distinct dark blue line across the bottom, which does make you wonder if it's going to have some hold on here. Resistance tests are done to see how well this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it might be to clean from your pen. I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, I'm going to be honest, I'm surprised that it blew out this much. And I wouldn't use it in a note-taking situation if I go back and highlight. I tend to use different color ink so I don't have to go back and highlight, but if I was using highlighter, I wouldn't use this ink. Before we make our way to the water, look at the amount of sheen that we can get on this ink according to the color swatch. But it really doesn't come up in writing for me. I don't know. Let me know if you have sheen coming from this ink in your writing and what you're using to get there. Back to this stuff. Looking at the water, we see that it is lifting away all of the darkest tones, but that blue that was in the second chromatography, very there, not budging. Same thing happens for pen flush. It is very there, very not moving. That blue is not going away. That being said, I haven't had any issue with any Akkerman ink cleaning out of my pen. It could just be a chemical reaction bonding with the paper even better. But 1/3 bleach solution does completely remove it from the paper. If for some reason you actually had to use a 1/3 bleach solution, you could easily flush your pen with water when it's all over and make it go away. For the inks I've tested, I have found an average viscosity of 2.5, with a realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Now I'm going to link the video that shows how I do my testing and calculations. Akkerman Dutch Masters number 8 has a viscosity of 4.3, making this a ridiculously dry ink. I think it's got so much stuff in it that it has a dry flow. And I'm basing that because so often when inks have sheen, they have a lot of stuff in that ink. So I do think it's writing dry, but it's very dense. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done on Clairfontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. I average all of those. Now for the inks I've tested, I've found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with a realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Akkerman Dutch Masters number 8 has an average dry time of 14 seconds. So despite it being so very dry in flow, its dry time is normal. Instead of finding inks that look like Akkerman Dutch Masters number 8, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. Chose a nice magenta, Diamine Maroon. What an ultramaroon. The second writing sample is done on TWSBI, Monocoque, and Viscosity notebooks. Here we try to see if this ink does have any kind of variety by looking at it on TWSBI notebook paper. Now we get no bleeding and no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, 7 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, and 10 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it and we didn't get it. Monocoque. No bleeding. Some show through because it's so thin. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. Extra fine, same tone as the 1.1. No feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, 6 seconds to dry. Medium, same tone as the extra fine and the stub. No feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, 8 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both shows no color variation. We didn't expect it and we didn't get it. Apica, last chance. No bleeding, no ghosting. Those coming through were on a scrubby. I put it on like an idiot, and that's why that happens. It's me scratching through the page. 1.1 with no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. Extra fine is the same tone as the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 6 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine and the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, 9 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it. We didn't get it. That's all that I have for the writing sample. So what do I think of Dutch Masters number 8? This blue-black is a bit too dark for me in the world of blue-blacks. If you like a blue-black that is much more black, this would be perfect for you. Just for me, it's a bit too dark. So what nib and pen would give the best writing experience with this ink? It doesn't matter. No matter the flow, no matter the nib, it puts down the same tone. It is very consistent, and that is a standout great quality that this ink has to offer. I put out a new ink review every single day, so that if you're not already subscribed, I'm going to remind you, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for watching.